Someone actually admitted that I have no self-worth. I never knew what the word self-worth was. I didn't know that I didn't have self-worth. I realized that I didn't love myself.
The one that is being discarded, the faulty good. You don't feel like you have the right to choose. You don't realize you have the right to even dream.
You're constantly dating someone to fill your cup, to fix you. All right, Jen?
Yes, Lynn.
Ready for another topic?
Okay, I'm always excited. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm always excited to have that conversation with you.
So yesterday I did a workshop around self-discipline, but one of the keyword that kind of stood out that I think whenever I think about single mums and what keeps us stuck is self-worth. So I thought, let's talk about self-worth, because there was also a comment, in my YouTube, my past video, where I had a lot of comments, and one of them, someone actually admitted that I have no self-worth. And that was so interesting. So let's talk about self-worth and how it can really sabotage our chance of success to get over our challenges and turn our life around when it comes to being...
I think when it comes to self-worth, Lynn, I'd like to hear from your perspective and experience. What do you think? I mean, where do we actually get that information from in the first place?
First of all, when I was in my 20s, when I had my son, these words were out of my vocabulary. I never knew what the word self-worth was. No one's ever talked to me about it. I didn't know that I didn't have self-worth, because ultimately I felt really cocky at the time. I felt like I knew everything. I was very immature. But I think the first time I realized something along the line of self-worth was when I broke up with one of my boyfriends. So this is not the baby's dad. It's, after many, many relationships, there was this one relationship where I was so devastated, and I took time to just figure out what's going on with me. What is wrong with me, Lynn? And somehow with that deep thought, I realized that I didn't love myself. And I think that was the first time I go, oh my God, my parents don't love me. That's why I don't love myself. And so if I don't truly love myself, I'm always looking for a relationship, someone to fill me up. So technically, I don't value myself. I think that was my first time understanding self-worth. So what is self-worth? It's seeing value in yourself, loving yourself. And I think everything stems from self-worth.
I think for a lot of, for myself, I think I understand self-worth very early in life. Only because in our household, there was myself and of course my sister. There was only 2 years between us. And so you get compared a lot. So this is where I actually really feel sorry for twins. Twins, I think, would even get it worse. But I think even with your sisters 1 or 2 years apart, you get compared a lot. Oh, you're better at this, that one's prettier, this one's smarter, this one can do things.
Especially in the Asian household, they're so direct. They don't care about your feelings. What feelings?
In the Asian household, I think they really believe in honesty, and they're
doing you a favor to tell you the truth.
Just tell you as it is. And I remember at the time, I was quite young, and I remember thinking, because everyone praised my sister, how great she is, how good she is, how looking, whatever, everything was positive. And then they would just look at me, and then they'd go, it was just just say it all, you know what I mean? And
you can laugh now, but at the time, how did you feel?
Oh, at the time, I was feeling, this is where I understand self-worth. I was like, oh, yes, I was just born this way,
And you agreed with them in a sense.
Yes, and you agree with them. And then you kind of go, because if everyone is saying something, you're just a child, what do you know? And everyone is saying, oh, that one's good, this one's not good, but that's all right. And this, in the Asian household, this is particular, that's all right, it's okay because she's got a good personality. So the fact that you get a good personality, I think you kind of just develop what you're good at, and then you focus what you're good at. And I was being brought up like if you think about, I always use this example because this was the example of when I was so young. And I remember seeing something on television, and it was like production line, and then I saw them, they were like doing something, and they let some go, and they kind of flick some across, the faulty goods. And that was how I used to identify myself.
Faulty good.
I'm the one that is being discarded, the faulty good. So that's why I realized that, I have very, but that's just me. And you just accept the fact that, okay, I'm just someone who, okay, that's me, I'll just accept it and just work with it. So, so I always felt like, second-class citizen. And when you understand that in the household, when you feel like you're second-class citizen, Lynn, you don't feel like you have the right to choose. You don't realize you have the right to even dream. You don't realize you have the right to do anything. And then so the people that actually influence our self-worth from the very early day is actually our parents.
Oh my God.
Our family, our parents.
Yes. It's interesting that whatever they said about you, you believed it and you kind of lost your power with them. I just realized I'm the opposite. So I too was told you're ugly because I used to have a round face. I had flat nose. It was like, I look very different now. I'm so glad.
You've grown as you grow. You've grown into your body.
And but deep down, I said, I can't wait to prove to you that I can make anyone like me in the future. So
that's why you went and had
a
boyfriend.
Yes. So what happened is, well, first of all, I don't believe that I'm ugly. I don't believe I'm fat, even though they said all those things. So it's like I kind of believed it, but I also believe in hope, as if like I'll prove to you. I also still remember at 9-year-old trying to sing a song, and my mum was like, "Oh, stop singing! You sing so crap." It's like, why would you do that to a child? And once again, I'm going to prove to you I can sing. And so, slowly I changed in high school, and I started to get attention. But I think the reason how I got attention is not just because my looks started to change, but I did have a sense of confidence. I kind of, I was a bit charismatic, and I can talk, I can communicate well. And so when you have a friendly aura, guys do come to you. But the thing is, just because guys are coming to you, but if you have a broken self-worth and you don't really, truly love yourself, then you are bringing a problem with you everywhere. I'm basically wanting them to like me, not because I like them and it's a genuine relationship. It's more like just to prove a point. Like, I want to convert you to like me. I want to make you like me. And so, yes, I end up having lots of strings of relationship. And then ultimately, with lack of loving for yourself, you're constantly dating someone to fill your cup, to fix you.
And it's really sad because, like what you were just saying there before, I think that when we're in that space of unworthiness, our vibration is so low, Lynn. So when our vibration is so low, we end up attracting all these low vibrations in our life. And so all the boyfriends that you were going through, they look great and they feel, you feel like, oh, you're coming to fill my cup. But how can somebody who's got a very low cup with another one's got very little water, how can you fill anything, any cup? So you end up having to go through the cycle of many things, which is, I find is really, that's why I say it's really interesting how we actually both grew up feeling like pretty worthless, but you just went out there and gung-ho prove yourself and you just went for it,
Yes.
And for me, I just kind of go, okay, that's what I am. All right, then.
Yeah. And then, well, let's talk about how we got over or improved ourselves. So basically, when I realized that I had a problem of not loving myself, it also meant that I've never been alone. I was always constantly in a relationship and scared to be alone. So in that year of self-discovery, I challenged myself to do things alone. Traveled alone. I went to eat alone. I just did alone things and try to be comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
And then I also just really focused on working on myself, everything that I want in a guy. I'm going to spend this year being that person that I want. And no rush into this relationship. Like all of a sudden you're taking your power back. Yeah. And then once you truly love yourself in this aspect of life, I'm talking about the relationship aspect, because why I say that is that I still realize that over the next decade, I still have some self-worth issues in other areas, such as business, such as...
honey, we can't do everything at the same time. So you're just picking which one you're prioritizing first.
So the interesting what I'm trying to say is just because you love yourself there, but in what aspect is the difference that I didn't realize, Because once again, years later, I didn't realize that I was already good enough and I don't need to prove anything when it came to business, because I was still driven to prove to my parents that I can make it, I could be successful. Likewise, only last year did I realize I still had a lingering on about my relationship with food and health and all that, because I was still like, even though I'm not proving anyone anymore, but I'm still not truly loving myself there, right? And so what does that mean? Self-worth is an ever journey of, it's like you keep peeling the layer. Not peeling the layer. It's like there's still more to go, and you can always get better and better.
You know what I think it is? It's interesting that you say that, because I think what it is sometimes, your life has changed already, but it hasn't registered up here. It's like it hasn't come to an alignment with your mindset. So your mindset is still working on the time that you're still, I have to prove myself. I'm going to strive. I'm going to show you. So that's where you were at, but you've already done it all. So physically, in reality, you've done it all, but your mindset hasn't come to an alignment yet. So that's why, sometimes you realize, oh, how come different parts of my life, why am I?
Yeah, that's a good point, because you can kind of sabotage your relationship, you can sabotage your business, because you're still driven by some old
lack.
Yeah.
You're still coming in from the mindset hasn't aligned, so you're still coming in from lack. And therefore you might, because that way, your mindset is not living in the reality that you've already created. So, which is interesting, because it's actually the other way around. You know how they say, oh, you manifest. You think before, you feel the vision, you create the vision, you write it and you read it and you do this and you manifest it and you live it like you're already there. But in your situation, you're already there, but your mindset is kind of lag behind a little bit. People are like, the mindset is in front and they're trying to move towards to come into alignment.
Yeah,
well, it's just the other way around.
That's right. But it's such a amazing feeling to, first of all, identify there is an area that you are lacking self-worth.
Yeah.
And what makes me excited nowadays is to, when you figure out, you work on it. And then when you work in it, it's like, it's so freeing.
I know.
How about yourself? How did you get out of it?
Oh, look, I think over the years, with my attitude, I just got out of it by default. I can't even remember when. I always kind of go with the idea of, okay, this is what I have. I'm just going to work with what I have. And I'm not someone who feel like, oh, I'm going to prove something or I'm going to need to do anything like that. Because this is what I am. That's all I can do, and because I always accept.
You kind of accept and make peace of it. It's like,
I'm okay.
If that's all right.
Yeah, if I'm not that, if I'm not the it person in the room, that's fine. I'll just work with what I have and be the best me. And there was just like this mindset was just by default. I think it was because being so confronted with because my sister's, all her achievement is always in my face. And so it's not like I was terrible or anything. Let's say, you're always in the best classes, but you're not coming home with first, second, and third. Like my sister, I didn't come home as school captain. I didn't come home as ducks. I didn't come home and those things, And so according to your family, when you have two child very close to each other, one comes home with first, second, and third, school captain, ducks, and whatever, even across the board. She was actually so good across the board, whether it's athletic or, school or whatever. Looks, whatever. So when you're a mere second or third or whatever, you're down there behind her. And so I just come to them and I said, I'm happy for you, in my heart. It was like, okay, I'm happy for her because a classroom has many people. And the fact that my sister got first, or my sister is school captain, or my sister is, oh, hey, that's a win for the family. And so I think I do come to terms with things in that way.
Yeah.
And then so I didn't have to, I didn't feel I need to prove. I didn't feel like doing it. And that's why I keep admiring you. The fact that, that's why it always go back to the first time that we met, because I had this dying question in my heart. And because of the self-worth thing, I always have this thing that in my heart that says, when you get to T-junction, and then the right thing to do is to turn right. But if you want to challenge society or your whoever, you turn left, which is what you did. You went and go, I'm going to prove to you, I'm going to turn left and I will show you that I'm right. So you're always turning left. And I'm always turning right. And for all my life, until you came and answered this question for me, I always said, I wonder what it would be like if I turn left just once. Just once.
You can still do it.
And until today, I don't know what is inside of me. I could not make myself turn left, not even once for anything. Like, I just don't know. And I'm waiting to get some advice.
But I feel like the fact that you continuously go right, because it just feels aligned to you, feels right. You know what I mean? Whereas I just feel like I can't be forced to think like that. I don't want to think like, and then I just have to go. You know, when you feel like you're in alignment, they're telling you to do something in the wrong way. It might be just out of alignment with you. Right? It's like so. But in short, what I've learned from what you were saying is that when you can accept and not compare, that's the best way, anyways. Like somehow you already default to
I was just born by default in that way. Like you know,
except that you were happy for others. You didn't agree with anything, but at the same time, you lowered your standards still.
Yeah, I think if I had, yes, you're right, because I have given a lot of opportunities in my life away. Sometimes I feel like, oh, you know, my friend is better. Okay, I'll give it to my friend. Or I let my friend do it. I let my friend shine. Or my sister's better. Okay, I let her shine. Because for me, I think about the collective. You know, as a collective, let's pick the best person and let's win for the collective. Because I've always had this mindset of the collective. I don't know why. And so I think in that way, I have, over the years, have asked myself, have I deprived myself from opportunities and things like that? But as I got older, I realized that, hey, maybe I didn't do it because it wasn't my life purpose. It wasn't my life's sole purpose to go and do anything like that. That's why, but I think that if I really like it, I would fight for it, I think. But yeah, that's so interesting because I did over the years when I was younger, but now when I'm older, I don't feel like I have lost any opportunity. I don't feel like anything, and I feel so happy being me and doing exactly what I'm doing, which brings me back to the last thing that I want to talk about, self-worth, is, you know, you get to a certain point. I think when you're really happy with your life, what you're doing exactly, and you feel like you have a choice, I think that's when you understand your self-worth.
But in order to get there, there's a lot of work. You don't just out of nowhere get the outcome without having done the work. So let's run through, I guess, some of the steps that I took, and then you can share with me. But for me, it was a lot of life coaching. So I also studied life coach, and it taught you how to coach somebody else. But I quickly realized that I cannot coach somebody else if I still have a problem. So,
Oh, Lynn, you'll be surprised how many people coaching other people who are still having a lot of problems.
Yes. I didn't feel congruent. I didn't feel like, I guess you're taught to ask questions, and it's not about you having the answers, but you asking the right question. But still, at the same time, you're thinking, hey, come on, like, I need to get myself sorted. I need to have a relationship. At the time, I was broke, no relationship, nothing. But one thing that I did learn from that experience was the power of having a coach. Because when you have a coach, then you have someone that's patiently sitting there really helping you to unravel all your past, because it's through their questioning of, you know, what's the earliest age that you remember that your parents said something to you that hurt you, la, la, la. And then you start to find out where the root of the problem is. And then you start to fix it one by one by one. And so, for example, one time I even wrote a forgiveness letter to my parents, even though I never gave it to them, to just say, thank you for loving me and for wanting the best for me, even though you didn't know how to show it in the right way. But I love you, and I let go. And I felt so freeing, right? And so I think the steps for me has always been work with someone if you can't do it yourself. Because the thing about yourself is that, how do you know you're right or wrong? Because you're just judging based on what you're thinking. And with the right coach, they usually like dive deeper. They're like, why? And then you answered already, but they go, why, until you get to the bottom of it. And then you forgive, let go, and then you move on from that. And then from there on, it's about practicing, building your muscle. So whether you know, I remember being so shy, I just started putting my hands up. I started doing some classes on how to do public speaking. So there's always learned skills. You know, when it came to relationship, it was me going, okay, well, now what do I want in a relationship? Study the books on marriage, and, you know, really do the work and put effort into improving yourself and your relationship. So that's kind of my game plan always. It's figuring out the root of it, being clear on what you want, and then I guess have a system and habit that you can used to build that. And then I guess throughout that whole time, it's just being able to have a really great attitude like you, that ability to stay calm, to not feel like you're comparing to someone else, that you're, that negative mindset can really make everything else, go like there's no point.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, I find it's, people ask me, oh, how can you, like, I actually have a lot of friends who actually say to me, you're the first friend that I have that I feel like I can trust. I said, what do you mean? Because I know that when you're next to me, you don't get jealous, you don't get...
I say that to you.
Yeah, and you said it to me too. It was really funny. And I said, why would I be jealous? I'm so happy. Every single time I see you shine, I'm so happy. If I can stand there and fan the shine and make it even bigger, I would do it in a heartbeat. Like, why would I? Like, just to know that you have a friend and your friend is so achieving so much and so amazing. I mean, and to witness that and to watch that and to be in close proximity with that is such an honor and it's so much joy. And I said, well, why would I be jealous of that? And because I just feel like whoever find their success in their lane, that's their life purpose. It wasn't mine.
Such a good point. Who are you surrounding yourself with that can actually bring your self-worth down? Who can actually lift it up, right?
Yeah.
And I guess even when I was younger, it wasn't like me choosing very strategic about who I hang out with. And even when you're going through problems, you go through the people just so that you can go further into pain and negativity. So I think having the right friends that do not get jealous, that supports you, that builds you up. And people can even, the right friends will go, I can see this value in you.
Yes.
You should try this. You should try that.
And I've said many times, it was really interesting that we talk about this because I said many times, because I do see, like, when I look at people, I do see so many amazing things in them. And sometimes because they don't understand self-worth, they don't see it. And I see it. And I remember when we first started talking about things, I mean, back in 2020, and you were like, ooh, I feel good hanging around you.
Yeah.
But I think different people bring different things in a relationship. And I think if I can just bring a little bit of joy and get to celebrate, family and friend success, I think that will probably, for me, that's the biggest joy and that's the biggest honor.
So yeah, that's, I would say 2 areas to look into is your past. But it's also your present. Who are you surrounding yourself with? And often it's the relationship you're still in.
Correct.
So I was in a very toxic relationship with the guy that actually, well, I have to thank him because after that relationship, I crashed. But he was so toxic where he made me lose more of my confidence and my worth. Where he, I think it's not narcissistic. I have heard the word.
Narcissistic.
Yes. And controlling, where it made me feel that only I love you, but is jealous of everything, controlling everything, and all of a sudden you just want to be small, because when you're small and you have this invisible paper bag on your head, then no one can see you, so no one can pick on you. But if I stayed in that relationship any longer, oh my God, how much more confidence would I have lost then?
Oh my goodness. I think what it is, I mean, sometimes when you're saying, you have to thank him for it, and I think it's great because in hindsight, no one does anything to us. They've done it for us. He needs to be the person to deliver that lesson to you, Lynn. And once he's delivered that lesson, it allows you to then come and fix it. Because a lot of people, I mean, we go through life every day and we see challenges, we see problems. But when we see problems, some people go, oh my God. Some people see problems, they go, yay. Oh my goodness. They say, oh my goodness, I'm about to have a breakthrough on something. I'm about to fix something. I'm about to grow from something from within. So I always encourage people to change their perspective on when they see a challenge. Don't get down and don't slouch and your physiology. Get excited because you're about to expand. So that's exciting. But I think for me, how I deal with I'm trying to remember when would be the oh, I remember now. Oh my God, I remember when I was in year 5 and or was it year 4? It was year 4, year 5, I can't remember. And we brought home the report and my sister brought home the report and, a family that a family member that understands better English than my parents actually was reading our report. And, Diane's got this is, the straight A student, all this thing. And then when they look at mine, it was like A's and B's and A's and B and A's. And then he goes, but look at the comment. What they're saying about Jennifer, he said, one day she's going to be an amazing person and she's going to achieve a lot of good things. I think maybe he's saying it to make me feel better, like compared to the other one. But this is the part that is really funny. My mom and dad both stood up and go, no. This person, Diane's sister, is going to create amazing thing. Her, not her. Yeah. No, not her. What did you read? Did you read it wrong? Did you? It was like, that was hilarious. And look, I remember at that time feeling like really confused and a glimpse of hope. At that time, I felt a glimpse of hope. I said, one person saw that I'm going to be doing something great. But then as soon as the light was fine, it was like blew out because, no, not her. It's
Wow.
it was.
And your parents love you. They just unfiltered. They just like
they were like, don't give her false hope. It's like, don't give her false hope. So they're thinking, I think they kind of think that, let's prepare her just to be her. And, because it's like they think that if they give you so much false hope, I think, and you can't achieve it, you'll be so depressed or down. I don't know what they think, okay? To be honest, I still don't know what they think. But I remember at that time, that feel that little bit glimmer of hope. And then they go, oh, no.
Yeah.
What's fine?
It's amazing as a child, like what we observe. I
Absorb too.
Observe and absorb. So I also remember this practice that they do in primary school, which I think I hope they don't do it anymore. But when you get split up into 2 groups, they go, okay, 2 leaders, you go and pick who you want in your team.
Yep.
So basically, I want you, and here are the kids who are left out. Yeah, who are like,
nobody wants them.
Yeah, I hope I'm not last, like I'm like 3rd last or whatever. And I think that's such a big blow to our confidence.
But
little things do.
But here's the thing. I was talking about thoughts and the power of thoughts, how dangerous thoughts are. So when you're at home and you're being prepared and you're saying, you're not worthy, you're the last one, you're the faulty one. When you go to school, that's the thought that you have in your head. So of course, when I went to school, I was that kid. I was a kid that no one would ever want to pick for anything. I was never the kid that they wanted to pick to do a partner to do an assignment with. I was never the kid that they wanted to pick for a sport. I wasn't bad at sport, but because your thought is there, so your vibration is so low, and it sort of repels everybody that wants to pick you. So that's why, that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But for kids who actually, the more they fear it, the more I hope, oh my God, I hope I'm not last. You are going to be last.
And, think about our kids now watching us. If we are a parent who hasn't done the work, who hasn't figured out why we're being negative and continue to be negative, the poor kids, we are passing on that very habit and traits and mindset to our children. And I guess a message for any of our mums going through this now is at least do it for your child. Do it for the next generation.
What I find is interesting. A lot of mothers go, I want you to do this, be a certain way, do a certain thing, achieve a certain thing. I say, before you ask your children to do those things, why don't you look in the mirror and see if you are doing those things? Because whatever you're doing, they can only see what is real in front of their eyes. They don't know what the thing that you're describing. I need you to do better at school. I need you to be more tidy. And you're so messy. What does tidy even look like? So I think, sometimes parents say, I work so hard, so I put all these expectations on you, but you've not shown it in any way. So I would suggest that parent will show it a little bit more, and then try to
monkey
do.
see, monkey do, and that's the strongest way to. Yeah, if we all love our kids, we want them to thrive, and the first thing we do is we need to love ourselves, work on ourselves, be the best example so that they could see hope. they could see that they could be that too.
Correct. And I think what you say is correct. Hope. That's the word. They can have hope, and then they know that they can do it. They can be this person in their mind that they want to be. So make sure that you put the right person in their mind.
So if you could sum up like, or even think of self-worth, like what pops up in your mind? I'm thinking, I see love. I see loving yourself. So as we wrap up, I would love to just, I love icebreaker questions kind of thing. So when you think of self-worth,
Yes.
what do you see? What words come up in your mind?
For me, self-worth, I would go, these days I use a lot about self-love, self-care. So if you have a lot of self-worth, you would spend time doing self-love, self-care. And I think when you love and care yourself enough, you have more of you to give to your family, to your friends, to your work place. And I think the biggest thing for me is that so my children can feel that they deserve to have self-love, self-care as well. Because I've got 2 daughters, and I don't need a lot from them, but I just need to make sure that they understand self-love, self-care, and to practice self-love, self-care. Yeah.
Yes. Well, to add on that, I agree with you. I would say when you have self-worth, you have high expectation for yourself, for people around you. You strive for better. You just feel like you're worthy for more.
Mm-hmm. And you're worthy to have more.
Strength. Yeah, when I see self-worth, I see strength, I see confidence, I see power. And I just see if we all have that, then this world will be this vibrant, energetic place.
Isn't that funny, Lynn? Like, every single time you talk, and I'm noticing like the things that come to mind, everything you are all expands. Like you're very expansive, is that expanding outside and radiating outside. Whereas everything I do is coming within.
There's a yin and a yang.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, thank you so much again for the wonderful conversation.
I know.
We get to do what we love.
I
This is
know.
self-love right here.
I know.
We love to talk. We get to document it. We get to share it, and we hope we can touch people's lives.
Yeah, this is definitely a part of our self-love, self-care journey. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Love to hear in the comments below your thoughts on what we've discussed. If you have any challenges, ask us, and we can bring up the topic in the next episode.
Definitely love to hear from you. So please participate.
Bye.